Rejection is one of the hardest things to endure. It shakes your confidence, makes you question your worth, and leaves you wondering, why me? But what if I told you that you weren't rejected? God rejected you. What if that closed door, that lost opportunity, that unexpected no was actually divine intervention? What if God was shielding you from heartbreak, failure, or mediocrity because He has something far greater planned? You see, we often make plans for our lives based on what we think is best. We chase relationships, jobs, and dreams, believing they will fulfill us. But God, in His infinite wisdom, sees what we cannot. He knows that some things we desire would destroy us if given at the wrong time or in the wrong way. So when a door closes, it is not because you are not good enough, not smart enough, or not worthy. It is because God has a bigger and better purpose for you. Think about all the times in life when you thought rejection was the end. Maybe you didn't get that job, but later you found a position that aligned perfectly with your skills and passions. Maybe you lost a relationship only to later realize that it was toxic and that God was preparing someone better for you. Sometimes the very thing we cry over today will be the thing we thank God for tomorrow. The pain of rejection is real, but so is God's plan. His delays are not His denials. Every no you receive from the world is God's way of setting you up for the right yes. He removes things from your life not to hurt you, but to build you. You are not forgotten. You are not abandoned. You are being positioned for something greater than you could ever imagine. So instead of crying over what didn't work out, start praising God for what He is about to do. Rejection is redirection. God's rejection is His protection. If He didn't allow it, then it wasn't for you. Trust Him. Keep moving forward. What's ahead is far greater than what you left behind. What feels like rejection is often God's way of redirecting you to something better. We often set our hearts on certain people, places, or opportunities, believing they are meant for us. But when those things slip through our fingers, we feel lost, hurt, and even abandoned. The truth is, what we see as a setback is really a setup for something greater. God sees the full picture, while we only see a small piece. When He removes something from our lives, it's not to punish us, but to lead us towards something far greater than we ever imagined. Imagine walking down a path and suddenly finding a roadblock. Your first instinct might be frustration. Why is this happening? Why can't I go where I planned? But what if that roadblock was actually saving you from a disaster ahead? That's how God operates. He sees what we cannot. He knows the dangers, the heartbreaks, and the disappointments that lie beyond certain doors. So He closes them before we can walk through. At first it might hurt, but later we realize that if we had forced our way in, we would have settled for something far less than what God had planned. Many of us have experienced situations where rejection led to redirection. Maybe you didn't get that job you wanted so badly only to later find one that was a better fit with better pay and more growth opportunities. Maybe a relationship ended, and at the time it felt like your world was crumbling, but later you met someone who loved you in a way you never imagined possible. These moments remind us that God's no is never about loss. It's about positioning us for a greater gain. The key is to trust the process. It's easy to feel discouraged when doors close, but instead of seeing rejection as an attack, start seeing it as a divine course correction. If God removed it, it wasn't meant for you. If He shut the door, He's leading you to a better one. The disappointment you feel today will turn into gratitude when you see where God was guiding you all along. His plans are always greater than our own. Keep trusting, keep believing, and keep moving forward. The best is yet to come. There are moments in life when we feel deeply disappointed because something we wanted didn't happen. Maybe it was a job you dreamed of, a relationship you invested in, or an opportunity you worked hard for. When it doesn't work out, it's easy to feel like you've been wronged or that life is unfair. But what if that closed door wasn't rejection, but God's protection? What if the very thing you're crying over was something that, if given to you, would have caused more harm than good. Sometimes what we see as a loss is actually God saving us from unseen danger, heartbreak, or failure. God sees beyond what we can comprehend. He knows people's true intentions, the burdens that come with certain choices, and the future consequences of paths we might take. When He removes something or someone from your life, it's not because you are unworthy, it's because He is shielding you from what you don't yet understand. That job you didn't get, maybe the work environment would have drained you emotionally. That relationship that fell apart, maybe it was never meant to last, and staying would have brought you pain. That dream that didn't come true, maybe God has an even bigger plan, something that will fulfill you in ways you can't yet imagine. It's hard to see protection in the middle of pain. We question why things had to fall apart, why we had to feel rejection, why we had to lose something we loved. But later, when time passes and the bigger picture is revealed, we realize that what we thought was a setback was actually divine intervention. Every closed door, every detour, every unanswered prayer was God's way of steering us towards something better. He never removes without replacing. If He took it away, He would provide something greater in its place. So don't fear rejection. Embrace it. See it as a lesson, a redirection, and a stepping stone towards something greater. Growth comes from the moments that challenge you the most. Keep going, keep believing, and trust that every closed door is making you stronger, wiser, and more prepared for the blessings that are on their way. Rejection is never easy. It stings, it shakes your confidence, and it makes you question everything, your worth, your abilities, and even your future. But what if rejection wasn't something to be feared? What if rejection was actually a gift? Too often we allow rejection to define us, to make us feel small, to make us doubt whether we are capable of achieving great things. But the truth is, rejection is not a sign that you are unworthy. It is a sign that you are being redirected. It is God's way of telling you that what you were holding on to was never meant to be yours, that He has something far greater in store. It is in these moments of rejection that we must shift our perspective. Instead of asking, why me, we must start asking, what is God teaching me? Every rejection carries a lesson. Maybe it's teaching you patience, resilience, or the importance of trusting His plan. Maybe it's showing you that what you thought was good for you was actually limiting your potential. We often cling to things that are beneath us simply because they are familiar. But God doesn't want you to settle for mediocrity. He wants to elevate you to something greater. Think about a seed planted in the ground. It is buried in darkness, surrounded by dirt, seemingly forgotten. But in that hidden place, something incredible is happening. The seed is breaking apart, growing roots, and preparing to rise. If you judged the process too soon, you might think the seed was buried for no reason. But in time, that seed will push through the soil and bloom into something beautiful. Your rejection is not your burial, it is your planting season. God is working beneath the surface, preparing you for something far greater than what you lost. Sometimes we fight so hard to hold on to things that are not meant for us. We force relationships, chase opportunities, and try to control outcomes, all because we are afraid of letting go. But what if letting go was the very thing that would set you free? What if surrendering the thing you are holding on to allowed God to give you something better? We must learn to trust that when God takes something away, it is because He is making room for something. He will never take without replacing. He will never close a door without opening another one in its place. Rejection is not just about loss. It is about preparation. It is about building you into the person you were meant to be. Every rejection strengthens your character, deepens your faith, and refines your purpose. It teaches you to rely on God's timing rather than your own. It teaches you that your worth is not determined by who accepts or rejects you, but by the one who created you. God's plan for your life is not small. It is big, bold, and beyond what you can imagine. But you must be willing to let go of what is not meant for you in order to receive what is. So the next time you face rejection, don't see it as an ending. See it as a beginning. See it as a sign that you are being led somewhere greater. Trust the process. Trust the lessons. And most of all, trust that God's plan is always better than your own. What is ahead of you is far greater than what you left behind. Walk forward with faith, knowing that rejection is not a punishment. It is a setup for something extraordinary. Rejection is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of something greater. What you perceive as a loss is actually a redirection, a divine setup for something beyond what you could imagine. When God closes a door, it is because He has seen what lies ahead, and He is protecting you from settling for less than what you deserve. Every setback, every disappointment, every unanswered prayer is part of a larger plan that is working in your favor. Instead of dwelling on what didn't work out, choose to trust the process. Trust that God's no is just making space for His perfect yes. The pain you feel today will one day turn into gratitude when you realize why things had to happen the way they did. Rejection is not about loss. It is about growth, about preparation, about stepping into the fullness of what you were created for.